Principles of sports nutrition. Humanity's predilection for sugar has led to an enormous profit opportunity both for the industry that produces it and for the medical profession that treats the diseases and obesity it creates. Table sugar, or sucrose, is highly addictive, destroys insulin metabolism, corrupts the immune system, and is arguably the single greatest cause of health impairment and degenerative disease on the planet. On the other hand, and with some exception, the majority of artificial sweeteners are non-addictive, non-caloric, non-insulin dependent, and extremely safe when utilized in, and I want to emphasize this word, a rational manner. It is the irrational use of artificial sweeteners and so-called natural isolated sugars that gets everybody into trouble. If you reduce the amount of sucrose and fructose and or artificial sweetener use to next to nothing or a pinch here and there throughout your diet of whole food and real food, and you have a health consciousness, you'll never get into trouble using any of these so-called synthetic or natural chemically isolated sugars. When it comes to anything and everything we do, motive is everything. So why are we doing what we are doing? Are you addicted to sugar and sweets? Is your blood sugar stable? Do you have adequate intake of protein? Let's remember the principle of majoring on the majors and minoring on the minors. If you smoke tobacco, chemically produced toxic tobacco, and you do not train or exercise, then why are you so concerned about the little pinch of equal or sucralose that you or most likely someone else is consuming? Focus on the things that are the most important first. But if you are of the mindset where you are unable for whatever reason to do what needs to be done, it is likely that you will be filled with criticism and judgment and prejudice, and then you will use tiny little molehills and make them into mountains, and then use those as forms of deviation or distraction to take you away from what needs to be principally done. So let's be perfectly clear. CHI does not advocate the use of chemical artificial sweeteners and sweetening agents as staple agents in your diet. But we are also adamantly as concerned about the use of sucrose and fructose in the amounts that many people consume them without knowledge of their devastating effects on the immune system and health. So what we promote is a whole food, real diet that's biologically compatible with our genomes, and neither artificial sweeteners or isolated natural sugars are compatible with human life and health. So with that in mind, it does come down to frequency of use and more specifically quantity of use. So let's think about quantity. There is something known as the ADI, which is an acronym for the acceptable daily intake. And this is an estimate of the amount of the food additive expressed on a kilogram body weight basis that can be ingested daily over a lifetime without appreciable health risk. So that is the ADI. Do you know what the ADI is of equal or Splenda or sweeten low or sucrose or fructose or mannitol or xylitol? Do you know what the ADI is? So I think you should discover what that is first before you condemn it, and also look at some objective science, not necessarily from the people that manufacture and promote it or those that defend their position because they consume it, but you have to look at the overall amount of information and hopefully find some reliable authors and researchers that can lead you to a better understanding of what these things actually do to the cell and to the membranes and to the DNA that's inside of the cells and to our overall function and anatomy. Artificial sweeteners are not necessary to be consumed in one's diet, as there is no known biological need for their inclusion. The original diet of our species included no such substances. However, in some cases and with some people, they are definitely preferable to using sucrose and especially fructose. The the so-called natural sugars. Refined sugars such as these contribute to the formation of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which are known to accelerate aging in the body and reduce biological age. Artificial sweeteners do not. So AGEs produce free radicals, deplete glutathione, damage mitochondria, stiffen arteries, and damage proteins such as albumin, collagen, and hemoglobin. Trichlorogalactosucrose, otherwise known as sucralose or Splenda, was discovered in England in 1976 and is about 320 to 1,000 times sweeter than sucrose or table sugar. On average, it is 600 times sweeter than sugar, meaning you can consume 600 times less of it in whey protein, for example, to achieve the same sweetness as regular sugar. It is calorie-free and non-nutritive, has no unpleasant aftertaste, and can withstand high temperatures involved in cooking and baking without degrading or breaking down. It's also extremely stable in solution. Sucralose is created from ordinary table sugar. When it's consumed, it can't be broken down, so about 98% of sucralose passes out of the body without being absorbed at all into the bloodstream. In other words, it goes in through the front door and out the back door. The remaining 2% is biotransformed, and once absorbed is rapidly excreted in the urine. And this stuff, in essence, is much, much safer than consuming the equivalent amount of sucrose or fructose. The ADI of sucralose is 15 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day. So I weigh 100 kilos, and that means a safe amount for me is 1,500 milligrams per day, while I might consume 40 milligrams maximum in a protein supplement, and I often use whey protein isolate that's unflavored and unsweetened. So my consumption of it is next to nil. But remember that the 15 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day is reduced 100 times down from where it starts to cause problems in rats when they're tested. So they're very concerned about the safety of children. The people that make this stuff, it had to go through a lot of testing, unlike fructose and sucrose, which is basically out there like the Wild West, and people are addicted to it and using it without control or any concern whatsoever, not knowing the preponderance of damage that it's actually causing to their brain. Kids who eat sucrose have mania-like episodes, and none of us really knows that sucrose is behind elevated cholesterol and damage to the arteries and a primary cause of diabetes. So let's get a perspective on all of this stuff. If you don't need any sweeteners, that's great. Why not just do with dates and raisins and figs and things that you find in nature? That's all you really need.